And coming up in the next 60 minutes, government imposes another curfew on the Bawku municipality following renewed chieftaincy conflict in the area that has reportedly killed 9 persons so far. The Peace Council, caught in the crossfire, has withdrawn from the mediation.
The team arrived in the morning when there was gunshot, and so they could not do the mediating work that they were supposed to do.
Scores of angry youth in Nalerugu are agitating and demanding the release of 2 of their elders who were caught up by the police when on official assignment. We'll bring you details. Also, 3 persons arrested in connection with the clashes at Manponting in the Robbery East municipality that resulted in the injury of at least 4 people and the destruction of property.
Currently, 3 of them are in custody and we are assisting investigation. Whereas the victims have also been visited at the hospital.
Also tonight, community pharmacists threatened to shut down pharmacies if the police does not provide them protection against incessant robberies.
Call on the Inspector General of Police at the same time to provide security and patrol services to our community pharmacists across the country.
We have the chilling account of some of the victims. And we'll bring you details of that and more here on Joy News Prime. Also, ranking member of Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee describes as senseless, offensive and discriminatory Emirates' indefinite suspension of flights from Ghana to Dubai. More as he calls on President Curfew and other African leaders to boycott the ongoing Dubai Expo. This is Joy News Prime coming to you live from our studios here at Fanofa, Kukumlemle, Accra. We're live on DSTV, channel 421, GoTV 144. This is the home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Stay tuned in. Hello again, I'm Ernest Minu. Let's settle for the details now. Tonight, government has placed another curfew on Bawku in the Upper East region through an executive instrument following the renewed chieftaincy conflict in that area. In the latest directive, movement of people is expected to cease from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. daily, effective today, December 29. This comes in the wake of the withdrawal by officials of the National Peace Council dispatched to Bawku to aid in mediation efforts. Joy News understands they have returned to Accra after they were caught in a crossfire of the warring factions. According to Chairman of the National Peace Council, Reverend Dr. Edujemfi, who signed a statement urging both sides to use non-violent means to address their concerns, the team of mediators will return to continue with their work when the situation normalizes.
The team arrived in the morning when there was gunshot, and so they could not do the mediating work that they were supposed to do. They went along with some CSOs who've been partnering with us as far as the work is concerned. They met the regional minister and some other dignitaries in the north in what can be done. We are hoping that after today, the situation will be clearer. Because one of the festivals was supposed to have been celebrated today. As at now, we have no word as to what is happening now. But after today, if the situation remains calm, then the team might go back to see what we can do to help resolve the problems there. Yeah, we had a peace advisory team that is in Bawku. Unfortunately, the key person who was leading the team died a few weeks ago. And so that disrupted our operations a little bit. But we hope to get them back together. But whilst we do this, we think that there's a need for a holistic resolution of the problem. And so we'll be getting in touch with the Ministry of Chieftaincy Affairs because it's purely a chieftaincy matter. So once we resolve the situation and there is peace, there's a need to resolve the chieftaincy issue so that this thing will be done once and for all. So we'll be liaising with all those partners to ensure that we bring lasting solution to the problem that is in the area.
Now, the Member of Parliament for Bawku Central told Joy News this afternoon calm had returned and that the annual Samampit Festival celebrated by the Kusasi people was actually underway. This was at the time he gave us the interview. Mama Yarga, however, urged the people to dialogue and embrace peace.
Well, Well, I find the killings unfortunate and condemnable. It's unfortunate that we've gotten to that point. So what I can do now is to appeal to everybody to cooperate with the law enforcement agencies for us to be able to bring the situation under control and then ensure that we go after the perpetrators of violence and then stop that from happening. And then the issues will be dealt with appropriately. I think at this point, we just have to appeal to everybody to cooperate with the law enforcement agencies and to urge all sides not to use violence.
Well, with that said, already we're told that the Peace Council team that were supposed to be mediating have pulled out because they were caught in the melee, amongst others. Do you know what exactly then is being done on the part of the security and the warring factions to bring peace to the area?
Oh, Bawku is very calm now. Actually, we are at the Manponting Festival, which is going on well. The security agencies have provided the necessary cover for the celebration to take place, and we are gathered here, and the celebration is ongoing. So there's calm here. I think that what we need is to sustain it. So I urge the law enforcement agencies to increase the personnel and men here and the resources for them to be able to effectively, keep the peace. And then also we can engage with all sides to ensure that we don't have violent activities in other parts of the country.
Have such engagements already begun?
I can say that for a while now, through my discussions with the relevant ministers, the Minister for National Security, Defense, Interior, Regional Minister for Upper East, and even colleague members of Parliament, I know there's been discussions on all sides involving the Nairis Palace, Bawku, and all other relevant actors trying to get everybody on board for us to work towards peace. And so I think that the engagement will continue. We can never be tired of working to ensure peace.
And our checks at Bawku revealed that indeed the town is relatively calm, and the Manponting Festival, which was climaxed today, was actually incident-free and was held under tight security. Meanwhile, there's a spillover of the renewed conflict in Bawku, in Nalerugu, and also Gambaga in the northeast region. The youth there are protesting the reported arrest of two of their elders who were picked up whilst on official traditional duty. Correspondent Ilyasu Tanko reports.
The agitations by the youth of Nalerugu and Gambaga are said to have been sparked by the killing of two young men said to be natives of Gambaga, as well as the arrest of some elders of the Manponting overlord. It is still unclear circumstances leading to the death of these young men, but sources said they were brutally murdered in the Bawku town after being trapped in the violent clash which started Monday night. Earlier report has suggested there were attempts by the rival faction to stop the burial of the deceased in Bawku, a development that fueled the anger in Gambaga. The youth of Nalerugu, on the other hand, have been angered by the arrest of emissaries of the Manponting overlord, who were allegedly sent to Bawku to officiate a traditional funeral ceremony. This morning, Wednesday, December 29th, the Nalerugu youth besieged the palace of the Manponting king, demanding the whereabouts of the arrested elders as well as their immediate release. The development prompted the regional minister to lead the regional security commanders to engage in dialogue with traditional authorities of the two towns. Here is the regional minister, Yidana Zakari, speaking to Joy News in Gambaga.
I would want first to send my condolences and the people of the Northeast region and the government of the Republic of Ghana to their bereaved families. it's unfortunate that they were caught up in the middle of all that happened and unfortunately lost their lives. We can only wish them well wherever they may be. The next is to sincerely thank the overlord of Mampurugu, the Nayiru, for the leadership role he has played in all this. The same way, I want to thank Mbagambarana for the role that he has played, and to thank the Chief Imam of Mampurugu for the leadership role he has also played. I think their voice is the voice of reason, and that is how come we are able to contain the situation so far.
The minister also commended the youth for not taking the laws into their hands and pleaded with them to continue to remain calm.
Let me also thank the youth for listening to leadership. In all this, we need to make peace so that we can go about our daily activities without any fear or hindrance. And I think so far, highly commendable. There are still issues to be dealt with, and we are working on them.
The minister also spoke about the need to keep peace and harmony in the area while asking for support.
Now from the Northeast region, let's come down to the Ashanti region, and 3 persons have been arrested in connection with clashes at Manponting in the Kwabra East municipality. Violence erupted in the town Monday night after youth groups from 2 electoral areas within the town clashed, following an attack on a young man whom police say was robbed of mobile phones on Christmas Eve. At least 4 people were injured as the rampaging youth destroyed some properties, forcing the residents to flee to safety.
Violence erupted in the town Monday night after youth groups from 2 electoral areas within the town clashed following an attack on a young man who police say was robbed of his mobile phone on Christmas Eve. At least 4 people were injured as a rampaging youth destroyed some properties, forcing residents to flee for safety. The police were later called in to maintain law and order. They held talks with opinion leaders and urged the youth to remain calm. Security was later beefed up in the area following reports of fresh attack on a local mosque by some unknown persons. The police have, however, confirmed the arrest of 3 suspects. Chief Superintendent Stephen Kwesikwache is district commander.
And currently 3 of them are in custody, and we are assisting investigation. Whilst the victims have also been visited at the hospital. You yourself can even bear us out that when they're coming, there's total peace in town, and we are not withdrawing the men. And as I said, there are certain things we not even put it on air. Security matters is involved a lot. The uniformed men are patrolling, as well as the CRD men are also going around.
At the Municipal Security Council meeting, the MC in the North Sibebonsu said the council has put in place measures to ensure lasting peace in the area.
Of the conflicts, and the situation is under control. That's what I'm telling you. And you can see the Zongo chief here, and then the Manponting hearings representative is also around. They came, and there's been a mutual agreement that they are all going to be peaceful. And we came to a conclusion that this is not an escalation between the Zongo youth and the Ashanti youth as being perceived out there. Some criminals perpetrated the whole thing. So we are going to arrest the culprits as the mother is standing beside me. And on the way forward, like we were saying, I've asked them to form a WhatsApp platform. About 10 people from the Zongo side, so that if there's any misunderstanding, we solve it right off there so that there wouldn't be any escalations.
Reporting for Joy.
Now, the Community Practice Pharmacies Association of Ghana is raising concerns about the alarming rate of armed robberies against its members in part of the country. The group at a news conference today said their members have been attacked at least 17 times this year alone, with some members facing the ordeal twice. Here's one of them, Michael Curfew. He narrated his ordeal at the press conference.
CEO of Health Consult Pharmacy at Tishinongo Estates. and I've been operating since the year 2000. My first robbery attack was in 25th November 2002, where I had just closed from the pharmacy. Just when I sat in my vehicle, two gentlemen attacked me at gunpoint and then struggled with me, pushed me down. And then when I got up, an AK-47 was pointed to my head. And they succeeded at booting with my new Renault Megane Classic. We reported to the police at that time. Reports were made on Joy FM, Peace FM, just after the robbery. And some people saw the criminals driving my vehicle at top speed. We made a police case at the Nungwa police station. After 6 weeks, they couldn't locate the vehicle. So they gave me a note to send to the insurance company. And then I was able to get my insurance money and then bought another one. Then in 2008, I was away in London. And then I just received a call that armed robbers had attacked my pharmacy around 8 p.m. And then they had locked up my staff at the toilet and then bolted with money and also some perfumes and medicines. Then, fortunately, they didn't harm anybody. Then I had another branch at the 10th Avenue, where one morning we got there and then they had cut open the burglar proof and made away with the TV and other valuables, including the game money. But then I had learned my lesson, so I don't keep too much money at the pharmacy these days. Then the same pharmacy was robbed again later, even after the repairs were made. And they bolted with our air conditioner unit and other things they could lay hands on, and some monies that we use for change. And the fifth one was quite not too long, about 2 years ago. And then I was in my home and early dawn, a customer called me that he was passing in front of my pharmacy and realized there has been a breakthrough. So I rushed there. I called some of my staff that lived around. And then when they got there, indeed, they had broken into the place and made away with the TV set and other things. Then the last but not the least, just Valentine's Day this year, I again received a message, a call from my landlady, who told me that armed robbers had again attacked. This time they made away with even the CCTV unit recorder, together with a generator, some sums of money, and then medicines, perfumes, and anything they could get. They even made away with tokens that we used to check blood pressure. They thought they were coins. So they carried them away. And so we can't even check with that machine because they've carried all the tokens away. So these are series of burglaries that I have suffered at my pharmacy. It's not because you are not taking precaution, but then anytime you make one step, they also try to, plan and come back in a different style.
Very unfortunate incident there, but here's another chilling account. He got shot in the stomach by suspected armed robbers, but managed to drive away 4 miles while bleeding to receive emergency care at the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital. That's the story of pharmacist Aaron Ohene J, the CEO of Gillard Chemists Limited, after his pharmacy was robbed by gunmen at Agric Kromwase in Kumasi. The robbers made away with cash and mobile phones in the latest of attacks on pharmacies in some parts of the country. Love FM's Erastus Asari Donko has the rest of the story.
So that fateful evening, we are told that 2 men on a motorbike, one was waiting on the motorbike outside the shop here. The other one entered the shop with a firearm and asked all of them to lie down. So in here, with the CCTV footage you can see some of the staff lying on the floor. But I have one of the ladies here to tell us what actually happened within the shop. Mame, dia ne si yankasa wo ha dia na wo ha.
Na ye wo ha ya lock mat no. Nti ye meti baabi ameti ya na
We had closed and were looking up. Suddenly, a guy wearing a helmet entered. He asked all of us to lie down and gave a warning shot. He took the money from the mat and the pharmacy. When he stepped out, my brother who owns the shop shouted that he had been shot.
My brother shop near Nidia. No, I pack it when I knew how a train, ye nay wardrobe will be a. To the amity, and say, or say, or Tiamu said, was shooting me.
In the CCTV footage, you can see this lady also lying on the ground. She will show me where she was lying. I
lay right here. When he gave the warning shot, I tried hiding here. He shouted, "Where is the money?" I have not seen a gun before, so I was trembling. Within 2 minutes, he had made away with all we had.
Within 2 minutes, the nurse said they were in
As the gunman was leaving, he spotted Aaron in his car close to the shop. He shot him in the stomach and shot his tires as well. Bleeding profusely and in pain, he drove about 4 miles from Kromwase to the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital Emergency Center. He shares his story from his recovery bed.
So I was wondering whether to speed off the scene or just remain calm for them to do their thing and go. He just got close to my window and shot through my passenger window. I realized I was shot. I put on my hazard lights and then started speeding towards Konfanochi. I was bleeding heavily. The pain was there, but it got worse and worse as I got closer to the hospital.
Police are yet to effect any arrest or issue any official statement on the latest robbery. The incident comes in the wake of robbery attacks on pharmacies in parts of Accra. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Kromwase, Kumasi, Ashanti region.
Well, the association wants the police to provide them some protection or they will be forced to shut down community pharmacy. Dr. Emmanuel Ireland is president of the National Association of Pharmacists.
We are calling on the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Akufo-Dampare, to instruct his men and women to, as a matter of urgency, investigate all reported cases of robbery against community pharmacists and pharmacies around the country. We have the data that I'll be sharing with you very soon. I must say that at this moment, we have served him with a letter. We've also served the Minister of Interior, and we've also served all DCAs through the local government service. And so we hope they have received it by now and they are aware of what we are talking about. We also call on the Inspector General of Police at the same time to provide security and patrol services to our community pharmacies across the country. And we, I must say, we are ready to collaborate with them to protect life and property. We are also calling on the regional, municipal, and district security councils to, as a matter of urgency, find a way to help keep our pharmacies safe. We are also appealing to the Minister for Interior, Honorable Ambrose Derry, to quickly intervene. While calling on the law enforcement agencies for intervention, I would like to seize this opportunity to advise our community pharmacists around the country.
The ranking member on Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, has described the senseless, offensive and discriminatory Emirates' indefinite suspension on the flights from Ghana to Dubai. He's calling on President Akufo-Addo and other African leaders to boycott the ongoing Dubai Expo in retaliation to the announced suspension. We'll bring you details of his post shortly, but first, here's the urgent broadcast Emirates sent to its partners on Tuesday, December 28, 2021. Let's now look at the Facebook post by the ranking member on the Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee, who is also the MP for Norton Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa. Mr. Ablakwa is essentially urging the government, President Akufo-Addo, to boycott the Expo, Dubai Expo, which is happening in Dubai as a result of this action by Emirates. Remember that Emirates is owned by the UAE. So he says Emirates travel ban imposed on selected African countries, including Ghana, effective today, 28 December. So this was yesterday, 2021, is by a mile the most discriminatory, offensive, senseless, and retrogressive step. Ghana, Angola, Guinea, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Cote d'Ivoire, and Ethiopia do not have any active case count and hospitalization anywhere near that of France, UK, Italy, USA, and India, whose citizens are now allowed, rightly so, if I may add, to still travel to and transit through Dubai. The other nauseating irony is that daily active cases in the UAE have now crossed 1,800, far higher than Ghana's 1,264 new cases, and yet UAE citizens can travel to Ghana, whereas Ghanaians cannot travel to the UAE. Well, he's been speaking to Joy News, explaining why government must retaliate this decision by the UAE.
This ban is one of the most incendiary, the most discriminatory that you can imagine and you can find anywhere. This is because Emirates did not even consider it necessary to give its travelers some period of time. Other bans or travel restrictions that we have observed since COVID broke, at least clientele was showed some respect, given some few days a week or 2 weeks, for you to get yourself prepared for what is coming. For this, Emirates just put out a travel advisory and said that it takes immediate effect. As I speak to you, you have stranded passengers who have made arrangements, they have bought their tickets, they have paid hotel bills, arrangements have been made for their pickup, and you leave them in limbo like this. And the most nauseating part, MFA, is that this is so discriminatory, you just cannot imagine.
So that's the Member of Parliament for Norton and the ranking on the Foreign Affairs Committee. Joining us now is the Chief Executive of Adansi Travels and Tours, Gideon Osari. Mr. Osari, thank you for joining us here on Joy News Prime. For players in the tourism industry, this is a peak season for you, having suffered from COVID. I'm sure many of you are hoping that you can recover from the losses you've made. How does this development come to you?
Yes, Ernest, this is very devastating for us, for all the players in the industry, and even more devastating for our cherished clients who have made plans to make a trip. Most of the clients might have engaged us for almost a year to plan their holidays or for their business travels for December and January. And for them to have gone through all the arrangements, all the hassle to find the money to pay, and also to take leave from work, and for us as agents on the other side to also put all our resources into the planning to ensure their tickets, their hotels, their tour itinerary, everything they need for them to embark on the journey already done. And for us to be faced with such a ban it's really devastating and very worrying.
Have you made any attempts to reach out to Emirates to find out why this is being done? And even though it says it's indefinite, is there an inkling? Do you have any suggestion on when this might be lifted, possibly?
Yeah, so you realize that the ban is actually coming from Emirates as a country, UAE as a country, not necessarily the airline.
Yes,
so,
that is right.
Of course, the airline, the carrier, that will take the people there. And so it's from my conversation with the airline, the news was they're also as shocked as we are. And so there were no kind of, they didn't have any pre-information about this ban. And so they are also as shocked as we are. And as of now, no one knows when clearly they are going to open or lift the ban. And that puts the customers or the clients in a limbo because we don't know what to do. The passengers become very confused as to should they hold on with or should they make other arrangements. The loss is huge on their side as well.
Give us a fair idea of how much you're losing as a business.
Okay, so let me take Adansi Travels as an example. So for us, we have 3 big groups that is amounting to about 150 passengers that are scheduled to travel. The first group was scheduled to leave on Monday, the past Monday. The other groups are scheduled to leave on the 5th and on the 6th. Together, they are about 150. And let's say the average cost of their vacation is 10,000 cedis. That gives about 1.5 million Ghana cedis. So just for these 3 groups, the economic effect on the ban for just 3 of our groups is about 1.5 million Ghana cedis. So that gives you a fair idea. And just multiply that by tens of other agents who are also having groups and individual passengers who have booked their travel to Dubai. So it's not only about the flight, but for you to travel, you make several arrangements. So there are COVID tests, there are hotels, there are airport pickup. All these arrangements are already done. So if you put it in that perspective, you can see that it's a huge economic loss to us and to our customers and to the nation as well.
What are your clients saying? Do you have some coming in already demanding a refund, or they're willing to wait to see what happens?
I mean, if you put yourself in their shoes, what will you do? Of course, we've had from Monday to now, we can detect from my voice, it's not been easy to deal with responses for about 150 passengers. People are calling you, calling us, calling our offices. Some are demanding refunds. Some are also asking when they can travel. I mean, it's very clear dealing with them that most of them are not really looking at the money side, but they are really keen in ensuring that they go for the deserved holiday that they have planned for. Because they have, apart from the economic side, they have made so much sacrifices in terms of their leave days and maybe push other obligations somewhere. They're really keen in making the trip, especially those traveling with family. I mean, you can imagine how your children they will be able to understand some of these demands. So it is very worrying, and we've been having hard time dealing with the customers with this.
I can imagine. Now, Mr. Asari, just because of time, the ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament is asking government to take tough measures. For you as a business and for the association, are you willing to use, state channels, appeal to government to try and resolve this issue?
Yes. So for us, we think that, I mean, there should be a dialogue to really understand what really is the cause of the ban. Because as of now, we were not communicated to with the actual cause. Whatever we know is rumors, but I'm sure that the ban will not come out of vacuum. So we will appeal that the state engage each other. UAE and Ghana have enjoyed good bilateral relations, so I'm sure that they'll be able to engage each other and really resolve whatever the cause is, so that private businesses like ours and also Ghanaians who are hoping to have their vacation can really embark on their trips.
Thank you for your time. That's Gideon Asari, he's CEO of Adansi Travel and Tours. You're watching Joy News Prime with me, Anas Mini. We're taking a break. When we return, we'll bring you some more stories, including the latest in business. Stay with us.
Welcome to Business. I'm Charles Aichi. The National Security Minister, Albert Kandapa, is entreating the Ghana Revenue Authority to fish out corrupt staff to ensure efficiency and transparency in revenue mobilization. According to the minister, such a move will prevent the leakages of revenue in the country. He said his outfit will continue supporting the authority in that quest. He made these assertions at the sensitization workshop on the National Security Strategy for the Ghana Revenue Authority's commissioners and management staff.
It is also not far-fetched to conclude that leakages, particularly at key revenue-generating points in the country, occur with the complicity of some staff of the GRA and at times even of the security agencies. We believe that the actions of these few bad nuts tend to obscure and negate the numerous positive works of the authority. I think now, more than ever, the GRA, and for that matter Ghana, need men, need women of integrity to block leakages in the system. And to succeed in doing this, the authority, I believe, must do all it can to root out those bad nuts. As Commissioner, in recent years, government has implemented other measures such as the immediate task force, and thanks for your support to that program. There has been the Revenue Assurance and Compliance Initiative raised to complement your efforts in blocking revenue leakages. However,
away from that, aviation expert Shawn Mendes is predicting a somewhat gloomy picture for Ghana's aviation space amid the impact of the Omicron variant on airlines world over. Speaking to Joy Business, Shawn Mendes says deepened reforms to stimulate the aviation space could be a game changer in 2022.
You know, that's a very good question. I'm not sure whether Omicron is really going to be what depresses the aviation sector in 2022 as much as it is some of the knee-jerk reactions that governments take towards Omicron and other new variants which inevitably will crop up. The key thing that the airline industry, or in fact any industry, really needs to be able to sustain itself during downturns like a pandemic is having consumer confidence. And that means consistency in policies, consistency in actions, consistencies in protocol for travel, for purchasing, and so forth. When that is able to be established, the growth will automatically come as the consumers are more confident. If the governments continually change this, if there's constantly changes like a new country putting on restrictions or new types of tests to be done or new changes in what has to be done prior to flying, that is where consumers begin to say, you know what, let's do something instead. So I don't think it's as much the variant. You know, we're 2 years into this pandemic now. We've established that it is possible to travel safely if you take the right precautions. But sometimes governments, for reasons that are not always scientific, take actions that drive down consumer confidence. And I think that is a bigger risk to the aviation industry in 2022 than Omicron or any other variant itself might be.
Away from the aviation space, government will from next year be renovating all art centres in the country as part of an aggressive plan to rake in some revenue from the commercial export of this untapped commodity. Take a listen to the Chief Executive of the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, Dr. Efo Asabi-Asare.
A lot of things have improved for some time now. Packaging has been an issue. But as I walk around, I see that We have improved in our packaging and presentation, so that makes me excited because this helps in promoting our products on the international market.
And speaking of that, we've witnessed so many diasporans around, people from the foreign countries, the expatriates, and they have also given a positive feedback. So how do we balance this against your quest to increase in exports abroad?
We always say that charity begins at home. So if people are interested in our products at home, especially the expatriates home we export our products and services to, then it means we are doing something good. So for me, it's all good. It's all good. And this is an opportunity for us to test what we have with them to see if it's really going to do well. Yeah.
And finally, what lie the prospects for the handicraft industry now that restrictions have eased a little bit and countries are beginning to interchange products?
There's a lot that we can do in this sector. I think that the focus now for GEPA is on art and craft for this year because we haven't done so much with it. We have tried, but it's a huge sector.
Dr. Ifosabi Asari from GEPA and in business. I'm Charles Aite.
Now the Porcupine Warriors suffered a narrow defeat. That's 1-0 at the hands of their regional rivals in a keenly contested game at the Babara Sports Stadium. That's one the following report.
A result which came courtesy a first-half strike from Baba Yahaya sees Kotoko exit the FA Cup round of 64 stage. This is also the second time in less than 3 weeks that King Faisal have beaten Prosper Nate Ogum's side, having ended Kotoko's unbeaten start in the league earlier this month. The Reds boss made a few changes to the team that played against Legon Cities in the league last week, with Ibrahim Danlad replacing Razak Abalora in goal. Despite making a quick start to the game, it was King Faisal who opened the lead after Yahaya took advantage of an error by Andrews Apple to score. The Porcupines upped their game afterwards and came close to grabbing the equalizer when George Mfege created space for himself, only to shoot feebly into the hands of the goalkeeper. There were chances for both teams in the second half, but King Faisal managed to hold their own to advance to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup at the expense of Kotoko.
Let's look at the Ghana Premier League now, and defending champions Hearts of Oak defeated Brekum Chelsea 2-0 thanks to the brace from striker Kofi Goji. Your highlight of the game.
Great try from Anane and it's a corner. Decent save from Richmond Ayi as well. Here is Denchi. Ball across Koji! Kofi Koji makes it 1-0 for the Phobias. And the Phobias lead by 1-0 courtesy Kofi Koji. Brilliant goal, first half over from Richmond Ayi. Then she's unable to get the ball to anybody, and Koji scores the second. Kofi Koji, a double for Kofi Koji. Now Mensah's ball from Koji. They were expecting Denchi to have delivered, better. But on his...
And that's it for sports, but that's how we wrap up the bulletin. Many thanks for your company. Please log on to myjoyonline.com. You'll find many stories there. I am Ernest Mino. Stay with us and enjoy the rest of our programs.